Hey guys, happy Friday and welcome back to the workshop. And it desperately needs cleaning in here. Did some last minute things right before we left for the Bushcraft show, which seems like ages ago now, but it really desperately needs a tidy in here, a bit of a spring clean. The way my brain works, if I've got a deadline, tidying up just goes out the window and I just throw things everywhere. So the floor needs sweeping, the bins need emptying, the benches need cleaning. So my apologies, I am back at it this week and making dreams come true, as I always say. But I just wanted to talk to you about my trip. It won't be a massively long video. I won't be putting in B-reel. I won't be doing anything professional like that. It'll just be me chatting like I always do. So where shall I start? So we'll start at the Bushcraft show, I think. Me, from a personal standpoint, I had a fantastic Bushcraft show. We really did do well. The new setup worked great. Some of you will have seen it on the stories and whatnot. Some of you saw it in person if you were lucky enough to be at the Bushcraft show. And also, if you came and saw us, came and bought from us, thank you very much. But yeah, really pleased with the setup. And we kind of condensed that setup down for Edgy Expo up in Scotland. And that worked really well as well. Yeah, the Bushcraft show was great. Great to see some old friends. Great to make some new friends. The pitch that we had couldn't have been better situated. We were right near the main stage, right on the main thoroughfare, so we got a lot of passing trade. The weather was spot on, unlike now. But yeah, the weather was fantastic. If anything, and I hate to say this because I don't really complain about people, if anything, it was a little bit too hot. But the weather was great. And we had an absolute blast. Then we came back here very briefly and just for laundry and to drop off the bits of kit that we needed. And then we were northbound. We had a slow journey up to Perth in Scotland. We stopped off at some of our favourite places. As you may have seen from my stories on Instagram and posts on Instagram, we went to our favourite place in the world, which is Whitby. We had a day there and then camped just outside Whitby up on the North York Moors, which was great. Nice little family campsite. Then we headed up to Adrian's Wall, to Vindolanda. If you've not been to Vindolanda, I highly recommend it, especially if you like your history. It's an amazing archaeological dig. It's still an ongoing dig. You can watch the archaeologists dig in if the weather permits it. There's a great museum there. It's not massively expensive to get in. I think it's like a tenner each, which that money's, it's not a commercial venture. That money's going straight into paying for the upkeep of the museum, and there's a picnic area and a cafe and a shop, and it's a great day. It's a great day, especially if you're just travelling up that way, or walking Hadrian's Wall, which is something I'd really like to do. But beautiful area. And then we stayed at a place called Hadrian's Wall campsite. Now I've camped at a lot of campsites, both really basic farmer's field type stuff, and really high-end campsites that have got swimming pools and restaurants and stuff like that. This campsite, hands down, is one of the best campsites that I've ever camped at. So that's Hadrian's Wall campsite. It's only about 2 miles from Vindolanda. There's a brewery near it. But little family-run campsite, just so nice. I mean, the weather was spot on again, but the facilities, we've got a great little shop, and the husband and wife that run it are just such nice people, and everything, just little attention to detail. You can buy wood there for your fire pit. The pitches aren't jammed in. Everything's really level. The toilet facilities were immaculate. There's laundry facilities there, washing up facilities, electric hookup if you need it. and I think it was like 30 quid a night. But one of our favourites so far. If you guys know any campsites around the UK that you really love going to, that'll take camper vans or roof tents or whatever, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Because we're always looking for new places to stay and new places to go. But that's Adrian's Wall campsite. I can highly recommend it. It's on Pitch Up. I don't know if you can book direct with them. I think you probably can. The phone was ringing quite a bit while I was in the shop. But then we moved up and across, over the wall, over the border into Scotland, and went to a place called Gilnockie Tower. Now, Gilnockie Tower is the current home of the Armstrong Museum, and it's not far from Langham, where my ancestors are from. And it was quite emotional, really, because I've always wanted to go there. And again, wasn't massively expensive to get in. And a great little museum, really. The tower's cool, quite dominant of that landscape. But they've put together a lot of history. There used to be a museum in Langham. That's not there anymore. I don't think. We couldn't find it anyway. But from what I can gather, they've moved everything up to Gilnockie Tower. So that was a great day. Then we went and had a picnic by the side of the river in Langham itself. And then we headed up to another campsite that I forget the name of, but it's near Loch Lomond. It's in the Queen Elizabeth Forest, and it's one of the biggest ones in that area. Again, great campsite, a little bit bigger, a little bit more commercial, a little bit more crammed in, but it's on the beginning of the sort of the big NC 500 type trail that a lot of people do. So you've got a lot of one-nighters, you've got a lot of bike packers that go there. Great facilities, ultra clean shower block, ultra clean bathrooms, hook up if you need it, little shop, but it did get a bit buggy. It's Scotland, you're going to get the midges, aren't you? So it did get a little bit buggy in the morning, but we were only there for one night, so we were packed up on the road to our next destination, which was Deanston Distillery. Now, this was kind of an on-the-fly thing. We'd not booked, we'd not planned in advance. We just looked. I just said to Beth, I'd really like to go to a distillery. So that's what we did. That's what we did. Just did a quick Google Maps, and the two closest distilleries was one in Stirling that didn't open until 11 o'clock, and Deanston Distillery. I'd kind of heard of Deanston whiskey. I'd not tried it. But they opened at 10, they got a visitor centre, you can do tours. And it was only like half an hour away from where we were camped. So we headed there, got some breakfast, did a little bit of shopping at the local Tesco, and ended up having like an on-the-fly masterclass with one of their sales advisors. I apologise if that's not your title, Thomas, but Thomas is a really knowledgeable guy. If you've seen the photos and you decide to go to Deanston, and you can pick who gives you your masterclass on whiskey or masterclass on Deanston whiskey, then Thomas is your man, because for a young guy he knows a hell of a lot about whiskey. So we spent about an hour there at Deanston, I think. Obviously, I was driving, so I couldn't really get involved in the sampling so much. But Beth's quite a seasoned whiskey drinker, and obviously a qualified chef, so she knows quite a lot about these things. And it was kind of Beth that introduced me to single malt. So Beth really enjoyed drinking whiskey at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning. But we had an absolute blast. Bought a couple of bottles of whiskey, got given a load of free stuff. Really great. But then it was on to the main event. We had headed to Perth Racecourse for Edgy Expo, which is Scotland's first modern knife exhibition, first modern knife show. I guess we call them shows now more than exhibitions, kind of like a mini blade show, or if you've been to Sharp Show UK, kind of like that. Run by Edgy Supplies, who are Mark and Scott, great friends of mine. And then we kind of retired to the bar, if you like. Met up with a few other guys that I know. Met a load of new guys that I've never met before, that I've only really talked to online. We were camped right next to the race course at a caravan and camping club site, which again, immaculately clean, immaculately laid out, lawns, everything. They are quite strict, but to me, if it's a quiet campsite and the toilets are clean, that's all really that I want. So we set up there for the night, and then the Saturday was the main event. We got in there at 7:30. Managed to set up, despite a couple of hiccups that I'm not going to because it might cost me my marriage. But got set up, and then the floodgates opened at 10 o'clock, and it was absolute mayhem in a good way. I wasn't really expecting it to be as busy as it was. With it being the first show, I didn't really know what to expect, but the guys had sold a ton of tickets. They'd covered every base though, you know what I mean? They'd been great with comms, they'd been so welcoming, answered all my questions. It is a bit difficult trading in Scotland because you have to have a knife vendor's license, which you have to apply for in advance to the local council, and have that on display. The police were there checking people's licenses as well. You know, so everything was above board, and it was perfect, really. I couldn't have asked for a better show. If I'd have done it, I'd have done it exactly the same way. The guys just had everything thought of. They'd got bottles of water for us, so, you know, we weren't having to think. And you know, they were watching people's stands, so you could have a bathroom break. They were watching people's stands if you wanted to go get something to eat. Perth Racecourse itself is perfect for this kind of thing, and I know for a fact that the guys will be doing this again next year. So if you want a trip up north, or if you are in Scotland already, but put it in your diary, I can highly recommend that area of Scotland. Beautiful place. We didn't spend any time in Perth town, which we'll probably do next year, but the show itself was incredible. Met so many great people, both other makers and customers. So many great people. The Scottish are officially my favourite people. I thought the Irish were friendly, but the Scottish are just so nice, so helpful, and just so welcoming, really. You hear a lot of things about Scotland, and I can tell you, none of it's true. Everybody I spoke to, both on the day and when we were travelling around Scotland, were just lovely, lovely people. But at the end of the day, you know, 5 o'clock came around before I knew, and we had to pack down. And then the guys had organised like a makers social for all the traders and all the staff. So we had a chance to have a quick break. Went and got a bite to eat with our friends Evan and Jill from Leading Edge Knife Works. So and then it was back into the race course at 7 p.m. for the makers social and an awards ceremony. Now, this award ceremony, I'd seen the trophies, but we were that busy, I never really registered. I didn't know whether or not you had to submit a piece for assessment to the judges, or what. I didn't even think about it. I mean, and I had absolutely no vision and no thought that, you know, we'd win. But you know, they made a few announcements. They did best folding knife. Congratulations to Tom Bullock from Bullock Brothers. Tom, if you don't know, makes some of the best slip joints in the UK. He is just, for a young guy, he is insanely talented. And it is the execution of Tom's work can only be described as flawless. The mechanics of his knives are just, and the fit and finish is just. So Tom won best folding knife. So, you know, hats off to Tom, well deserved. Unfortunately, Tom had already left by this point, so I made his acceptance speech for him, and I'll be passing Tom's award on to him when I see him again. It came to best fixed blade. So many amazing knife makers there, proper knife makers as well, proper blacksmith knife makers, bladesmiths who actually hit stuff with hammers, not just, you know, engineering is what I do. It's not really bladesmithing what I do. I don't forge anything. So when they announced that Field and Steel had won best fixed blade, I was a little bit shocked. But here's my trophy. Look at that. And this wasn't, you know, it wasn't pre-decided. I had no idea about it, and I was totally gobsmacked because, you know, there were guys there who make like traditional skeins and dirks and guys there making like incredible knives. So for us to win was just mind-blowing, and I was a little bit emotional. I will admit that I was a little bit emotional, and completely gobsmacked, which, you know, if you know me, that very rarely happens that I'm lost for words, because I can talk a glass eye to sleep. But yeah, that is literally I've never won any kind of trophy or anything really. So that for me was like, you know, winning an Oscar. Kind of a little bit embarrassed about, you know, blowing my own trumpet that we won best fixed blade, because it wasn't a small show. You know, it wasn't like winning at a local village fair. There were guys there from America, you know. I'm still a bit shocked. I am still a bit shocked, but we won, and that's probably why I feel the way I feel about that show. But we had several drinks to celebrate following the win. We did have some very nice whiskey, and I kind of had to stop myself getting carried away because we had to leave the campsite the following day and leave Scotland the following day. So yeah, Field and Steel are now award-winning knife makers, even though it's only just me. How about that? Yeah. Anyway, look after yourselves, guys. I will be doing more videos now I'm back in the swing of things. Have a great weekend. I hope this weather improves because it's crap for June. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.